Welcome to The Know, I'm Mica.
And I'm Gus.
Could the trend of developers delaying reviews finally be turning around?
Bethesda ruffled a whole lot of feathers on all sides of the industry last year when they announced that they would no longer be sending out review copies for their games in advance, which at the time was kind of like them saying that video game reviews don't matter to their business anymore.
But with reviews landing today for Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus, they're pretty good, by the way, and reports throughout the week that Bethesda actually sent out review copies early this time around. It looks like maybe the company has had a little bit of a change of heart. Did a lack of reviews hurt their sales over the last year?
Here's a hint. Probably. First, a tiny bit of background before getting to Bethesda's change of heart and dip our toes into those early Wolfenstein II reviews.
Last fall, just ahead of the release of Dishonored 2, Bethesda put up a blog post about their new review policy, announcing that they were limiting review copies of titles to just a day before release. In their post, they stated that this had nothing to do with the quality of the games, they just wanted everyone to be able to experience the games at the same time. Well, except for, influencers and streamers, because they were still gonna get those games early.
And anyone watching the streamers.
Right,
obviously.
yeah, obviously.
The whole thing kicked up a lot of discussion about the value of reviews and highlighted that from Bethesda's side of things, they clearly felt like they had a lot more to lose from early video game reviews than to gain from them.
And following that, more game companies started employing similar strategies with their titles, albeit not quite as overtly as what Bethesda did. The rest of them just kept it on the down low instead of making announcements about it.
We've seen some of 2017's biggest titles get lengthy review embargoes ending on or just the day before a game launches, which isn't unheard of in the industry, but it's definitely affected a lot more games this year, when previously with reviews gradually tricking out for titles like Forza 7, Gran Turismo Sport, For Honor, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Destiny 2, just to name a few.
But maybe that won't be the case anymore, well, at least for Bethesda, because in the last few weeks the company sent out review copies for both Evil Within 2 and tomorrow's Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus. IGN's Dan Stapleton reported earlier this week that review copies had indeed gone out, indicating that Bethesda has quietly reversed this policy.
And for full disclosure, we got early copies here ourselves, but since we don't do reviews on our channel, we didn't get them very far in advance at all.
So what made Bethesda change their policy? Well, the easy and obvious answer to that is, yeah, money. It's money.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's been no secret that the company's titles have struggled at retail for the last year, with Dishonored 2, Prey, and Evil Within 2 all hit with lackluster sales. For instance, Dishonored 2 sales were down 40% compared to the first game of the series, and earlier this year, Prey's launch numbers were down 60% compared to Dishonored 2.
Yikes. But that's not where the pain train stops for Bethesda's titles, because even Evil Within 2 sales came in at just a quarter of what the original game launched at back in 2014.
By my math, those are not good numbers.
No.
And could be what's influencing the reversal of their review policy. As for why they would do that as quietly as they have, well, it's not like they're going to come out and say they were wrong about it.
Because who wants to admit that they're wrong? That's a horrible thing to do. Bethesda potentially changing their minds about reviews is actually kind of important, because if they saw a tangible effect on their sales, it might mean that other publishers will end up with similar results, which could lead to more of them going back to early reviews as well. Most gamers would probably agree that that's a better scenario than not finding out if a game is good until you bought it and put it in and realize it's bad.
But whatever the case, things are different now, which means we actually got a few reviews of Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus in ahead of its release tomorrow, and so far, those are pretty good, which is no doubt exciting news for fans of the rebooted series.
At the moment, there aren't a ton of reviews out there to speak of, it's just about 15 or so, but so far, the early consensus is that Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus is pretty good. It's got an 89 on Metacritic and an 88 on OpenCritic at the time of writing.
That's not bad at all, compared to the first game, which ended at 79 on Metacritic. According to those early reviews, the new Colossus really kicks things up a notch from the first game in every department, but mainly in its writing and storytelling, plus the way it lets players tackle its problems. On top of that, reviewers also felt like Wolfenstein 2 walks the line between absurdity, drama, and humor very well.
GamesBeat loved the level design writing. Wolfenstein 2 is not just one corridor after another, but its buildings are not so complex that you'll get lost. On top of that, Machine Games visually designs its stages to give you landmarks so you can create a mental map of the world.
Polygon agreed, stating, "All of this messy, vibrant spirit exists around the game that's pleasingly retro. Wolfenstein 2's levels are large enough to provide different paths forward and reward exploration. It felt wonderful to fight through areas that reward my curiosity in poking around or my creativity in how I attacked enemies."
DualShockers maybe summed it up best in its 9.5 out of 10 review. Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus has become the new benchmark for single-player shooter campaigns. The sheer amount of freedom that players have to go along with the excellent gunplay make it one of the best shooters in years on those merits alone. Add in what is one of the year's most compelling, important narratives, and you have a recipe for an instant classic on your hands. Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus isn't just 2017's best shooter, it's a game that will be looked back upon as one of the standout titles of this generation when it comes to an end.
Wow, high praise.
High praise.
So those are pretty damn glowing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there won't be more reviews of the game until probably the end of the week. While Bethesda did send their copies out earlier than they have been over the last year, they still didn't leave reviewers with a lot of time to get the game finished, so they're only halfway committing to this, so it seems like.
It'll be interesting to watch if these slightly earlier reviews this time around will actually have a positive impact on sales.
What do you guys think of Bethesda changing its review policy, and what about those Wolfenstein 2 reviews? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on all the fall's biggest releases, remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the know.
We've seen some of 2017's biggest titles get lengthy review embargoes ending on... And for full disclosure, we got our...
So, what made Bethesda change their policy? The easy and obvious answer to that is... wait. Oh, gotcha. But that's not where the pain train stops for Bethesda titles, because even Evil Within 2 sales came out in just